After 2.5 years of radio silence, the new Crazy Taxi is finally here. Crazy Taxi World Tour. And to say I was excited is an understatement. I got into Crazy Taxi last year. I played Crazy Taxi 1, 2, and High Rollers, ended up being my favorite just because it was practically all of the games put together in one package. I love Crazy Taxi. The aesthetics, the amazing soundtrack, the really cool character designs, the learning curve of really getting good at this game. Crazy Taxi is peak Sega, and I'm so happy that it's coming back in 2027. However, after that announcement, there was a horrible discovery. But before we address the elephant in the room, I actually want to talk about how I feel about Crazy Taxi World Tour first. In terms of what I've seen and what I've read that this game is going to add, yeah, this is practically the Crazy Taxi follow-up that I wanted. Not only is it going to have the standard arcade experience that Crazy Taxi is known for, but it's actually going to have a big story mode. Axel from Crazy Taxi 1 is going to be the main character of this World Tour campaign, and he's apparently trying to get stolen cars from a mysterious group of car thieves that come from different parts of the world. That already sounds insane, and I'm excited to see how that story is going to progress. There's going to be fun mini games like delivering pizzas or doing street races with other people. It's also going to have a big focus on multiplayer, so I'm excited to see what modes they come up with for online play. The West Coast stage from Crazy Taxi 1 is back and it's been reinvented. It looks a lot like its version from High Rollers, so that's pretty cool. I really like how this game looks graphically, and I do like the art style that it's going for. I think Axel looks really nice. I do have a few critiques about the visuals, especially the UI. This game is going for the open world approach. So of course you have the mini-map to show where you are, and then you also have the objectives on the top left to show you what you have to do during certain missions. You still get to see how much fare you have. You know, all that stuff is fine. It just looks a little visually boring. Like when you compare the UI from World Tour to the previous games, you notice that World Tour is looking more mobile gamey, I guess. It doesn't really bother me too much personally, but it is missing some flair. Some things have also been reworked, like the crazy dashes are not as fast as they are in the previous 3 games. And I feel like they did that because they now added a dedicated boost button where if you do crazy dashes and crazy drift, you build up a boost meter and you're able to get a small amount of speed after pressing the boost button. It just seems weird to nerf crazy dashes when half of the fun of Crazy Taxi for me personally is learning how to chain crazy dashes back to back in order to maintain a crazy amount of speed. It took some learning to get used to, so to see it get nerfed for a dedicated boost button is a little bit disappointing, but I'm sure it'll be fine as long as the driving physics is good. It's definitely not looking anywhere close to how it was in the trilogy. Looks way different, but I won't be able to gauge a proper opinion of how I feel about the physics until I actually play the game myself. It's been over 20 years, so I understand that the physics won't be the exact same one-to-one. And maybe they did just want to go a different approach, which is okay with me. As long as it feels good to play, then it's okay. But yeah, I'm excited to see what other countries that they choose for this game. I hope the other Crazy Taxi 1 characters come back. I really want to see BD Joe, Gina, and Gus again. I'm excited for any new characters that they introduce. So Crazy Taxi World Tour so far, it's pretty cool. It's everything I wanted out of a Crazy Taxi follow-up. So imagine my disappointment seeing that nasty ass AI disclaimer on the Steam page. This has gotta be the craziest monkey's paw ever. I get the Crazy Taxi game that I want, but then the devs decide that they want to use AI. And they were very vague about what they specifically used the generative AI for in Crazy Taxi World Tour. It wasn't until hours later that we found out that they have been using generative AI to make background assets as references. And they use this generative AI as inspiration that they can implement into the final game. As far as we know, the AI is not in the final game, but they've been using AI to create references for themselves so they can implement what the AI generated to put into the final game. When it was discovered how the AI was being used, a lot of people, including myself, were very disappointed, and it really brought down the vibes of this game's announcement. Full disclosure, fuck AI. I think it sucks. It confuses me that Sega has artists that they hired for Crazy Taxi that can make inspiration, create concepts, and be inspired by places that they fly out to gain that inspiration, create the concept art for what they have in mind, only to feed stolen art to generative AI to steal art from others and also harm the environment in order to generate the ideas that they want in Crazy Taxi World Tour. You guys have concept artists, so why the fuck would you need to use generative AI to do that? Sure, there's no generative AI art inside of the game as far as we know, but the fact that they're still using it in the creative process is very disappointing. It just really messes with the integrity of the game. Now, obviously, they've seen the backlash, because why else would they respond to it if the backlash wasn't severe? So they are aware that people are not happy that they're using generative AI for this game's development. It's lazy, it's unethical, and you guys are cutting corners when you shouldn't be doing that. And I would think that you guys are very well aware about how the general audience feels about AI. So to go this route of using generative AI for artistic purposes is very dumb on your part. And this is something that we should not let slide. We should not let Sega get away with this. I understand that using generative AI is a hot topic right now, and a bunch of gaming devs are using it on the low, but they're not letting their audience know. And it's going to keep being popular with these mega corporations. That doesn't mean we just have to sit and accept it. If you are someone who very much dislikes generative AI like I do, this is something that we need to let the devs know directly. We are not a fan of it, and we don't want it in our games. And this sets a bad precedent for future Sega releases, because if they're doing this for Crazy Taxi, can you imagine if they decide to pull this same thing for Jet Set Radio or the next mainline Sonic game? Oh boy. The discourse for those games are gonna be way worse than it is right now for Crazy Taxi. It's very disappointing that the hype for Crazy Taxi World Tour had to be tainted with this AI nonsense, because they really didn't need to do this. It's a shame, because the game looks great. It genuinely looks great. To me anyways, I think it looks great. But just the whole AI thing just killed the vibe for me. Another thing about Crazy Taxi World Tour that no one's really talking about, this is essentially a replacement for the original Crazy Taxi. Because remember, Sega delisted all of their classic games from digital storefronts, and Crazy Taxi 1 was one of those games. Crazy Taxi World Tour is essentially the replacement. They have the West Coast stage. They have the original Crazy Taxi 1 soundtrack in World Tour that they had to take out for the re-release of Crazy Taxi on Steam. It's also going to have the traditional arcade experience like Crazy Taxi 1. So this is practically our Crazy Taxi 1 replacement. It's really annoying that we have to go through this with Sega replacing their older versions of their games with new versions. Now, in some cases, you get a Sonic X Shadow Generations, which is fantastic. And then on the flip side, you get a Yakuza Kiwami 3. Now, Crazy Taxi World Tour is far from a Yakuza Kiwami 3, that's for sure. But it is disappointing that we had to lose the original Crazy Taxi for this. Why can't we just keep both versions? They're completely different experiences. Whatever, man. Despite my feelings, I am still very excited for Crazy Taxi World Tour, and I'm still most likely going to get it. But I am making this clear. I do not support Sega's use of generative AI for this game's development. I want them to not use AI for any of their gaming projects at all, but I'm just a small guy on YouTube, so maybe my words won't reach. But I still want to get that out there. I still want to make my feelings heard. Generative AI is a plague on this world, and we shouldn't be complacent about it.